There are certain words that reveal everything about a person's future. These words are so predictable, so consistent, that once you hear them, you can forecast that person's destiny with startling accuracy. What words come out of your mouth when you see someone else succeed? The moment you hear someone say they got lucky, you're listening to a person who will never create their own luck. When someone mutters it's not fair, they're announcing to the world that fairness will never find them. Those who whisper they had connections are confessing they'll never build meaningful relationships. And the person who sighs must be nice has just revealed they believe nice things happen to other people, not them. These aren't just casual comments. These are verbal fingerprints of failure. Each phrase carries within it the seeds of limitation, the DNA of disappointment, the blueprint of a life lived in the shadows of others' achievements. Two men worked in the same factory for 15 years. Same shift, same machines, same opportunities walking through those doors every single day. One day, a supervisor position opened up. Management offered it to Robert, not to Thomas. Thomas immediately said, they only picked him because he kisses up to the boss. Robert had been staying 2 hours after his shift for 3 years, learning every machine in that plant. While Thomas complained about overtime, Robert volunteered. While Thomas criticized management decisions during lunch breaks, Robert asked questions and offered solutions. The promotion wasn't luck. It wasn't favoritism. It was 15 years of small choices compounding into one big opportunity. But Thomas couldn't see it. His jealous words had blinded him to the very actions that could have changed his life. What fascinating words do you choose when success passes by your window? Do you study it or do you dismiss it? Here's what I've learned. After decades of watching people succeed and fail, successful people and jealous people see the exact same events, but they translate them through completely different languages. Show them both a wealthy entrepreneur, and the jealous person says, easy for them, they probably inherited it. The successful person asks, what business principles can I learn from their journey? Show them both someone who lost 50 pounds and got in incredible shape, and the jealous person declares, they have good genetics. The successful person wonders, what daily habits did they develop, and how can I apply them? The jealous person's first instinct is always to diminish, to find the external reason, to locate the unfair advantage. They're like detectives, searching for evidence that success belongs to other people, not them. Every they got lucky is another bar in the prison they're building around their own potential. But successful people, they're detectives too. They're searching for clues, patterns, principles they can apply. They understand something jealous people refuse to accept. Success leaves tracks, and those tracks aren't hidden. They aren't secret. They're there for anyone willing to study them instead of dismissing them. The automobile didn't happen by accident. The Wright brothers didn't stumble upon flight. Every breakthrough, every achievement, every success story is built on a foundation of decisions, disciplines, and determined effort. But jealous people can't see the foundation. They only see the building. When you plant an acorn, you don't expect an oak tree tomorrow. You understand there's a season for planting, a season for growing, and a season for harvesting. The farmer who plants corn in spring doesn't complain in summer that his neighbor's corn is growing faster. He tends his own field, knowing that consistent care and proper timing will produce the harvest. Yet somehow, when it comes to human achievement, people expect different rules. They want to skip the planting season and go straight to harvest. They want to bypass the growing season and demand immediate results. When they see someone else's harvest, they cry unfair. Instead of asking what did they plant and when did they plant it, your words reveal your farming philosophy. When you say they got lucky, you're saying you believe in magic, not methods. When you say it's not fair, you're saying you expect harvest without planning. When you say they had connections, you're saying relationships just happen to some people and not others. But relationships are planted too. Trust is cultivated. Value is added consistently over time. The person with connections usually spent years connecting, years serving, years building bridges, while others built walls. There's a choice point in every person's life. It happens multiple times a day, actually. It's the moment when you see someone else's success, and you must choose your response. You can choose curiosity or jealousy. You can choose investigation or irritation. You can choose to learn or to blame. This choice point reveals more about your future than any personality test, any horoscope, any career counselor ever could. Because how you respond to other success determines how you'll respond to your own opportunities. The person who says they got lucky when they see success will say I'm not lucky when opportunity knocks on their door. The person who says it's not fair when others win will say life's not fair when challenges arise. The person who says they had connections will say I don't know the right people instead of meeting the right people. Your words about others become your words about yourself. Your judgment of their success becomes your judgment of your possibilities. Your dismissal of their achievements becomes your dismissal of your potential. But there's another way. There's a different language available to you right now, in this moment, with your very next thought. Instead of they got lucky, try what preparation met their opportunity. Instead of it's not fair, ask what rules of success can I apply. Instead of they had connections, wonder how can I add value to people in my field. These aren't just different words, they're different destinies. When someone opens a successful restaurant, the jealous person sees luck, location, or family money. The success-minded person sees menu planning, customer service systems, financial mannequinning strategies, vendor relationships, and hundreds of small decisions executed consistently over time. When someone builds a thriving business, the jealous person sees overnight success or unfair advantages. The success-minded person sees years of failures transformed into education, problems solved for other people, value created in the marketplace. When someone achieves remarkable fitness, the jealous person sees genetics or free time. The success-minded person sees daily workouts, nutritional discipline, sleep patterns, and thousands of small choices that prioritized health over comfort. The same success story. Two completely different interpretations. One interpretation leads to learning and growth. The other leads to bitterness and stagnation. Here's what's truly remarkable. Both interpretations require the same amount of mental energy. It takes just as much effort to be jealous as it does to be curious. It requires the same amount of time to complain as it does to study. The same emotional investment to blame as to learn. But only one approach changes your life. The jealous approach keeps you exactly where you are, watching others succeed while you explain why you can't. The curious approach gives you tools, insights, and strategies you can apply immediately. Which energy are you investing? When you see someone driving a beautiful car, are you calculating how they probably can't afford it, or are you wondering what value they created to earn it? When you see someone in excellent health, are you assuming they have more time than you, or are you asking what habits they develop? Your internal response to other success is writing the script for your own future. Every jealous thought is a line in the story of why success happens to other people. Every curious thought is a line in the manual for creating your own success. The most successful people I know have one thing in common. They're students of success. They study it everywhere they find it. They don't care if it's in their industry or outside it. They don't care if the successful person is older or younger, educated or self-taught, from their background, or completely different. They understand that success principles transfer, that discipline in one area reveals discipline in others, that the person who built a successful marriage probably understands commitment, communication, and consistent care, that the person who transformed their health probably understands goal setting, habit formation, and delayed gratification. These principles don't belong to specific people. They're available to anyone willing to apply them. But jealous people never learn the principles because they're too busy explaining why the principles don't apply to them. The truth about personal responsibility is this: your life is your responsibility, but the tools for improvement are everywhere around you. Every successful person you encounter is a walking textbook of applicable principles. Every achievement you witness is a case study in what's possible, but you have to choose to read the textbook instead of criticizing the author. You have to choose to study the case instead of dismissing the results. Right now in your life, there are people succeeding in ways you want to succeed. They're not hiding they're not keeping secrets. Their success is built on principles, and principles can be learned and applied by anyone willing to do the work. The question isn't whether you have access to success principles. The question is whether you'll choose to learn them or explain them away. Whether you'll study the successful people around you or dismiss them with jealous words that reveal your own limitation. Your words today are planting seeds for your tomorrow. Every "they got lucky" plants a seed of helplessness. Every "what can I learn from them" plants a seed of possibility. You're choosing your harvest with every word you speak, every thought you think, every response you choose when confronted with other success. The most powerful truth about personal responsibility is that it includes the responsibility to learn from everyone and everything around you. Success is always teaching. The question is whether you're always learning. When you change your words about other success, you change your relationship with your own possibilities. When you stop explaining why success happens to other people, you start understanding how it can happen to you. The same principles that created their results can create yours, but only if you choose to see principles instead of luck. methods instead of discipline instead of destiny. This choice is available to you right now. In fact, it's the only choice that because everything else in your life flows from this fundamental decision. Will you be a student of success or a critic of it? Will you plant seeds of possibility with your words or seeds of limitation? Your answer to that question doesn't just determine what you'll achieve, it determines what you'll even attempt. It determines whether you'll see opportunities or obstacles, whether you'll build bridges or walls, whether you'll create value or just consume it. And here's what's coming next in your life. Regardless of what you choose, you're going to encounter more success stories, more people achieving things you want to achieve, more results you wish you had, more opportunities disguised as other people's luck. How you respond to those moments will determine whether you join the ranks of the successful or remain in the audience, explaining why success belongs to other people. Life operates on predictable patterns, just like the seasons. Spring always follows winter. Summer always follows spring. These aren't accidents or coincidences. They're natural laws that govern everything around us, including human achievement. Yet jealous people act surprised when they see someone else's harvest, as if success just randomly appeared without any planting season. When jealous people see someone succeed, they immediately ask, why them and not me? But they're asking the wrong question at the wrong time. They're looking at someone's autumn harvest and wondering why they don't have the same results, while completely ignoring the fact that they never participated in spring planting. Every successful person you've ever seen went through their planting season. They went through their growing season. They endured their seasons of uncertainty, when the seeds were underground and nothing visible was happening. But jealous people don't want to hear about the planting season. They want to believe in overnight success, because overnight success doesn't require seasons of preparation. The farmer doesn't plant corn on Monday and expect to harvest it on Friday. He understands that growth takes time, that results follow natural timing, that there are no shortcuts through the seasons. But somehow, when it comes to human achievement, people expect different rules. They want the successful business without the years of learning business principles. They want the strong relationship without the daily investments of care and attention. They want the healthy body without the consistent habits of good nutrition and exercise. They want autumn results from spring efforts. What season are you living in right now? Are you in your planting season, putting in effort that nobody sees, building skills that won't pay off for months or years? Are you in your growing season, where things are happening but the results aren't dramatic yet? Or are you standing in someone else's field, complaining about their harvest while your own ground remains unplanted? The most successful people understand something that jealous people refuse to accept. Every season serves a purpose. The planting season teaches you discipline. The growing season teaches you patience. The harvesting season teaches you gratitude. And then the cycle begins again, because success isn't a destination you reach once and stay forever. But jealous people try to skip seasons. They see someone's harvest and want to jump straight to that result without understanding the complete cycle. They don't want to plant because planting is work. They don't want to tend because tending requires consistency. They just want to harvest, and when they can't, they blame the weather, the soil, or the system. Here's what I want you to understand about patterns. They repeat. The same principles that created success for one person will create success for another person who applies them consistently over time. Success isn't personal, it's predictable. The person who builds wealth follows wealth-building patterns. They spend less than they earn. They invest the difference. They increase their earning capacity. They avoid debt on depreciating assets. These aren't secrets. These aren't special powers available only to certain people. These are patterns that work for anyone who works them. The person who builds excellent health follows health-building patterns. They move their body regularly. They eat nutritious food consistently. They get adequate sleep. They manage stress effectively. Again, these aren't mysteries. These are patterns that produce predictable results for anyone who applies them. The person who builds strong relationships follows relationship-building patterns. They listen more than they talk. They keep their commitments. They add value to others' lives. They communicate clearly and kindly. These patterns work regardless of your background, your personality type, or your past experiences. But jealous people refuse to see the patterns. They prefer to believe in randomness, in luck, in unfair advantages. Because patterns require work. Patterns require consistency. Patterns require you to do things whether you feel like it or not. When jealous people see someone in excellent physical condition, They don't see the pattern of daily workouts, consistent nutrition, and healthy sleep habits. They see genetics or good luck. When they see someone with a successful marriage, they don't see the pattern of daily kindness, regular communication, and consistent investment in the relationship. They see compatibility or good fortune. The pattern is always there. It's always visible to those who choose to look for it. But jealous people have trained themselves to look everywhere except at the pattern. Think about the most successful person in your field. What patterns do they follow that unsuccessful people in your field ignore? What do they do daily that mediocre performers do occasionally? What do they do consistently that others do sporadically? The answers to these questions aren't hidden. They're not secrets. The patterns are observable, learnable, and applicable. But observation requires attention, learning requires effort, and application requires discipline. Every day presents you with opportunities to observe and apply success patterns. Every successful person you encounter is demonstrating principles you can use. Every achievement you witness is showing you what's possible when certain patterns are followed consistently over time. Small daily habits compound into major results over time. This is perhaps the most important pattern in all of human achievement, and it's the pattern that jealous people understand the least. They see someone's impressive results and call it overnight success, completely missing the thousands of small daily actions that created those results. They see the tip of the iceberg and assume that's all there is, never recognizing the massive foundation beneath the surface. The musician who suddenly gets discovered has usually been practicing, performing, and improving for years before anyone noticed. The entrepreneur who overnight becomes successful has usually been solving problems, serving customers, and refining their approach through countless small improvements over time. The person in excellent health didn't transform overnight. They made hundreds of small daily choices about food, exercise, sleep, and stress management. Each choice by itself seems insignificant, but choices compound. Decisions accumulate. Small actions repeated consistently over time create extraordinary results. Here's the mathematics of compound improvement. If you improve just 1% every day for a year, you'll be 37 times better by the end of that year. 1%. Not dramatic improvement. Not massive changes. Just consistent small improvement, day after day. But jealous people don't want to hear about 1% daily improvement. They want dramatic transformation without gradual preparation. They want the end result without the process. They want the harvest without understanding that harvest is always the result of many small daily actions during planting and growing seasons. What daily habits are you building right now that will compound into significant results over time? What small actions are you taking consistently that might seem insignificant today, but will be powerful a year from now? Or are you waiting for dramatic change to happen all at once? Are you looking for the big break, the lucky opportunity, the sudden transformation that will change everything without requiring small daily discipline? The compound effect works whether you understand it or not. Your daily actions are compounding into your future results right now. The question is whether you're compounding positive actions or negative ones, productive habits or destructive ones, success patterns or failure patterns. Every day you choose what to compound. Every day you decide which patterns to strengthen and which ones to weaken. These aren't dramatic decisions. They're small choices that seem insignificant in the moment, but become significant over time. Difficulties and opportunities often arrive wearing the same clothes. What looks like a problem often contains the seeds of breakthrough. What appears to be a setback often becomes a setup for greater success. But jealous people only see the difficulty. They miss the opportunity completely. When successful people face challenges, they ask different questions than jealous people ask. Jealous people ask, why is this happening to me? Successful people ask, how can I use this? Jealous people ask, when will this be over? Successful people ask, what can I learn while this is happening? Same situation, different questions, different results. The person who loses their job can respond with bitterness about unfair treatment, or they can use the transition to find better work, develop new skills, or start the business they've been thinking about for years. The person who faces a health challenge can focus on what they've lost, or they can use the experience to develop better habits and deeper appreciation for wellness. Opportunities and difficulties cycle through everyone's life. The successful person learns to recognize opportunity even when it's disguised as difficulty. The jealous person sees only the difficulty and misses the opportunity entirely. When you hear someone complaining, If I had their problems, I'd quit. You're listening to someone who will never transform problems into opportunities. They've decided in advance that certain difficulties are too much to handle, which means they've also decided in advance that certain opportunities are too much to pursue. But here's what successful people understand: your biggest opportunities often come disguised as your biggest problems. The challenge that seems too difficult to handle is often the exact challenge that will develop the strength you need for your next level of success. The business owner who faces financial pressure learns to manage money better. The leader who faces team conflicts learns to communicate more effectively. The individual who faces health challenges learns to prioritize what really matters. Each difficulty is a university offering exactly the curriculum you need for your next season of growth. But you have to choose to enroll. You have to choose to see the education hidden inside the frustration. While jealous people are watching others succeed and explaining why they can't, successful people are watching themselves. They're paying attention to their own patterns, their own results, their own growth areas. They understand that the most important person to study is the person in the mirror. This is why jealous words are so destructive. Every moment spent analyzing someone else's success is a moment not spent improving your own situation. Every ounce of energy invested in explaining why others succeed is energy not available for creating your own success. The most successful people I know are fascinated by their own development. They track their progress. They measure their growth. They study their results and adjust their approach based on what they learn. They're not ignoring other people's success. They're learning from it. But they're applying what they learned to their own situation, their own goals, their own journey. They understand that success is personal, not competitive. That there's room for everyone to succeed, but only if everyone is willing to do what success requires. That patterns work for anyone who works the patterns, but patterns require personal application, not just theoretical understanding. Your life is operating on patterns right now, whether you're conscious of them or not. Your daily routines are creating your future results. Your consistent habits are building your destiny. Your repeated choices are shaping your character and determining your opportunities. The question isn't whether patterns are working in your life. The question is whether you're working patterns that serve your goals or patterns that undermine them. Whether you're building momentum toward what you want or away from it. Every successful person started exactly where you are right now, with a choice about which patterns to follow. They chose patterns that served their goals rather than patterns that satisfied their immediate comfort. They chose delayed gratification over instant pleasure. They chose growth over ease. These choices are available to you right now. The same patterns that created their success can create yours. The same principles that transformed their situation can transform yours. But principles require application, patterns require consistency, and success requires the discipline to do what needs to be done, whether you feel like it or not. And that brings us to the most critical understanding of all: success isn't about motivation, it's about systems. It's not about feeling inspired, it's about building habits that work even when inspiration fades. The people who achieve extraordinary results understand that extraordinary results come from ordinary actions performed extraordinarily consistently. What separates successful people from jealous people isn't talent, luck, or connections. It's their relationship with daily discipline. While jealous people wait for perfect conditions, successful people create conditions through consistent action. While jealous people say it's too late for me, successful people say I'll start today. The most destructive lie jealous people tell themselves is I don't have what it takes. This single belief becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy that shapes every decision they make. They don't apply for the promotion because they believe they don't have what it takes. They don't start the business because they believe they don't have what it takes. They don't pursue the relationship because they believe they don't have what it takes. But here's the truth about what it takes. What it takes is developed, not discovered. What it takes is built through daily practice, not revealed through inspiration. What it takes is created through consistent effort, not found through searching. The person who builds incredible physical strength doesn't discover strength, they develop it through consistent resistance training. The person who builds financial wealth doesn't stumble upon wealth, they develop it through consistent saving and investing. The person who builds expertise in their field doesn't inherit expertise, they develop it through consistent learning and application. You don't have what it takes yet, neither did they when they started. The difference is they started anyway and built what it takes through the process of doing what needed to be done. Success isn't for other people, Success is for people who do what successful people do day after day, whether they feel like it or not. Success is for people who understand that feelings follow actions, not the other way around. When jealous people say success is for other people, they're revealing their fundamental misunderstanding of how success works. They think success chooses people, but success doesn't choose people. People choose success by choosing the daily disciplines that create successful results. Every morning, you wake up with the same choice available to successful people everywhere. You can do what needs to be done, or you can do what feels comfortable. You can invest in your future, or you can consume your present. You can build something valuable, or you can simply spend time. This choice determines everything, not the choice you make once, but the choice you make every day. Because success is never about one decision. Success is about one decision made repeatedly until it becomes automatic. The person who transforms their health doesn't make one decision to be healthy. They make the decision to be healthy every morning when they choose what to eat for breakfast, every afternoon when they choose whether to exercise or rest, every evening when they choose when to go to sleep. The person who builds wealth doesn't make one decision to be wealthy. They make the decision to build wealth every time they choose saving over spending, every time they choose investing over consuming, every time they choose to increase their value in the marketplace rather than simply doing the minimum required. The person who creates a successful business doesn't make one decision to be successful. They make the decision to build success every time they choose service over selfishness, every time they choose solution over complaint, every time they choose improvement over comfort. What daily disciplines are you choosing right now? Not the ones you plan to choose, not the ones you hope to choose, the ones you're actually choosing day after day with your actions and your time and your energy. Your current results are a perfect mirror of your current disciplines. If you want different results, you need different disciplines. If you want better results, you need better disciplines. This isn't complicated, but it's not comfortable either. The most successful people I know have developed what I call the 5 daily disciplines. These aren't complicated systems or complex strategies. They're simple practices that anyone can implement, but few people maintain consistently. The first discipline is mental programming. Every morning, before the world gets access to your mind, you feed your mind the thoughts and ideas that serve your goals. You read books that expand your thinking. You listen to content that elevates your perspective. You review your goals and remind yourself why they matter. Jealous people start their day consuming whatever random thoughts and negativity happen to cross their path. They wake up and immediately check what everyone else is doing, what problems exist in the world, what complaints and criticisms are trending. They program their minds with other people's opinions and other people's problems before they even consider their own possibilities. Successful people understand that the first hour of your day sets the tone for all the other hours. If you start with purpose, intention, and growth-focused input, you'll approach the day with clarity and energy. If you start with randomness, negativity, and other people's agendas, you'll spend the day reacting instead of creating. What are you feeding your mind first thing in the morning? Is it content that makes you stronger, wiser, and more capable, or is it content that makes you angry, worried, or distracted? The second discipline is continuous learning. Every day, successful people invest time in becoming better at what they do. They read, they study, they practice, they experiment. They understand that in a rapidly changing world, standing still is moving backward. Jealous people stop learning when they finish school. They think education is something you complete, not something you continue. They work the same way they worked 5 years ago. They think the same thoughts they thought 5 years ago. They have the same skills they had 5 years ago. Then they wonder why they get the same results they got 5 years ago. But successful people are always students. They're always asking questions, always seeking better methods, always looking for ways to improve their approach. They understand that the person who stops learning stops growing, and the person who stops growing stops succeeding. What are you learning right now that will make you more valuable next year? What skills are you developing that will open new opportunities? What knowledge are you gaining that will help you solve bigger problems or serve more people? The third discipline is relationship building. Every day, successful people invest in the relationships that matter. They reach out to people they respect. They add value to people in their network. They express gratitude to people who have helped them. They build bridges instead of burning them. Jealous people complain that success is about who you know, but they never invest time in getting to know anyone worth knowing. They don't attend events where successful people gather. They don't join organizations where they could meet mentors and peers. They don't volunteer for causes where they could serve alongside people who share their values. They want the benefits of relationships without the investment of relationship building. They want people to help them without helping anyone else first. They want access to networks without adding value to networks. But relationships are like bank accounts. You have to make deposits before you can make withdrawals. You have to give before you can receive. You have to serve before you can be served. Who are you building relationships with right now? Not just asking for help from, but actually serving and supporting. Who are you adding value to without expecting anything in return? What relationships are you investing in today that will create opportunities tomorrow? The fourth discipline is skill development. Every day, successful people work on getting better at the activities that create their results. If they're in sales, they practice selling. If they're in leadership, they study leadership principles. If they're in business, they improve their business skills. They don't just do their job. They get better at doing their job. They don't just show up. They show up with improved capabilities. They understand that your income and your impact are directly related to your abilities, and your abilities are directly related to your commitment to improvement. Jealous people do the same thing the same way every day and expect different results. They think experience alone creates expertise, but experience without intentional improvement just creates experienced mediocrity. The person who's been doing something for 10 years isn't automatically better than the person who's been doing it for 1 year. The person who's been doing it for 10 years while constantly improving is dramatically better than the person who's been doing it for 10 years while staying the same. What specific skill are you developing right now that will increase your value in the marketplace? What ability are you sharpening that will help you achieve your most important goals? How are you deliberately practicing to get better at what matters most? The fifth discipline is service to others. Every day, successful people look for ways to add value to other people's lives. They solve problems, they meet needs. They make life better for the people around them. They understand that success comes to those who serve, not to those who take. Jealous people are always asking, what's in it for me? Successful people are always asking, how can I help? Jealous people focus on getting. Successful people focus on giving. Jealous people compete. Successful people contribute. The marketplace rewards value creation. The more value you create for others, the more value returns to you. This isn't just theory. This is how the economy works. This is how relationships work. This is how life works. But you have to create value first. You have to solve problems before you can profit from solutions. You have to meet needs before you can benefit from meeting them. You have to serve before you can be served. How are you serving others right now? What problems are you solving? What needs are you meeting? What value are you creating that makes other people's lives better? These 5 disciplines aren't suggestions. They're requirements. Not requirements for getting started, but requirements for getting results. Not requirements for trying, but requirements for succeeding. You can choose to implement these disciplines, or you can choose to continue getting the results you're getting now. You can choose to invest in your future, or you can choose to repeat your past. You can choose growth, or you can choose stagnation. But here's what you cannot choose. You cannot choose different results without choosing different disciplines. You cannot choose success without choosing what successful people do. You cannot choose transformation without choosing the daily practices that create transformation. The transformation process isn't complicated, but it is uncomfortable. It requires you to do things you haven't done before. It requires you to think thoughts you haven't thought before. It requires you to become someone you haven't been before. Jealous people resist transformation because transformation requires admitting that change is possible. If change is possible, then their current situation is their choice, not their fate. If transformation is available, then their limitations are self-imposed, not externally imposed. But successful people embrace transformation because they understand that growth is the price of relevance, that improvement is the cost of opportunity, that becoming better is the only way to achieve better. The transformation process has 3 phases. Phase 1 is awareness. You become conscious of the patterns in your life that create your current results. You recognize the disciplines you're practicing and the disciplines you're avoiding. You see clearly where you are and where you want to be. Phase 2 is application. You begin implementing new disciplines while maintaining old ones. You start new habits while breaking old ones. You build new patterns while replacing old patterns. This is the most difficult phase because you're doing double work, building the new while managing the old. Phase 3 is automation. The new disciplines become natural. The new habits become automatic. The new patterns become part of who you are. You don't have to think about doing what successful people do because you've become someone who naturally does what successful people do. Most people quit during phase 2. They start strong, but when the discomfort of change meets the comfort of old patterns, they choose comfort. They choose familiar over better. They choose easy over effective. But successful people understand that phase 2 is temporary. The discomfort of discipline is temporary. The discomfort of change is temporary. But the discomfort of staying the same is permanent. You can experience the temporary discomfort of growth, or you can experience the permanent discomfort of regret. You can endure the pain of discipline, or you can endure the pain of disappointment. You can invest in the temporary difficulty of change, or you can accept the permanent difficulty of remaining the same. Right now, as you listen to these words, you have a choice to make. Not tomorrow, not next week, not when conditions are perfect. Right now, you can choose to monitor your words for the next 30 days. Every time you hear yourself using the language of jealousy, you can replace it with the language of curiosity. Every time you catch yourself explaining why others succeed, you can redirect that energy toward creating your own success. You can choose to implement the 5 daily disciplines starting today, not all at once, but one at a time. You can choose to feed your mind growth-focused content every morning. You can choose to learn something new every day. You can choose to build one relationship this week. You can choose to develop one skill this month. You can choose to serve someone today. You can choose to study the successful people in your life instead of dismissing them. You can choose to ask, how can I apply this, instead of why can't I have this? You can choose to plant seeds in your own field instead of complaining about someone else's harvest. These choices are available to you right now. They don't require permission. They don't require perfect conditions. They don't require other people to change first. They only require you to decide that your future matters more than your comfort. Your words today are writing your story tomorrow. Your disciplines today are creating your results tomorrow. Your choices today are determining your opportunities tomorrow. The same principles that created success for everyone who's ever succeeded are available to you right now. The same patterns that transform their lives can transform your life. The same disciplines that created their results can create your results. But principles require application. Patterns require consistency. Disciplines require commitment. The choice is yours. And it starts with your very next thought. Will it be a thought of limitation or possibility? Will it be a thought of jealousy or curiosity? Will it be a thought that explains why you can't or explores how you can? Your next thought becomes your next word. Your next word becomes your next action. Your next action becomes your next habit. Your next habit becomes your next result. Your next result becomes your next opportunity. Everything begins with that next thought. Choose wisely, because you're not just choosing a thought. You're choosing a destiny. The time for explanations is over. The time for excuses is over. The time for watching others succeed while you remain the same is over. The time for action is now. The time for discipline is now. The time for transformation is now. Your future is waiting for you to decide what it will be. Not luck, not circumstances, not other people's choices. Your decisions, your discipline, your daily choices. What will you choose?